most encouraging, wholesome dudes on the planet. Straight up an autistic INFJ. Yes, more. Hey, it's 6. That's so strange, but okay. The broccoli has gained sentience. No, not Dimple. Hi guys, welcome back to another Nerd Rants video. It's a beautiful day outside, so I decided to do it outside. So yeah, here we are in the backyard. Yeah. If you keep up with my other videos on Wednesdays, you kind of know we're gonna talk about Mob Psycho, because my boyfriend and I finished it on Tuesday night. Well, last Friday, excuse me. Last Friday. We finished it on Friday. It's so good. I love it so much. I love it so much. It's so wholesome, but it's also like so dark, and it's, oh man. I enjoyed it so much, guys. The Body Improvement Club. They're the most wholesome characters that I've ever met. They're so great. They're literally just the most encouraging, wholesome dudes on the planet. They do not look like middle schoolers, but they're just amazing, and I love them so much. They're like the definition of bros. Just all the relationships in this show. Reigen and Mob are great. Mob and Ritsu are great. Sarazawa and Reigen and Mob, their little trio in the last season is great. Dimple is just a conniving little and his relationships with them and how they develop and how he interacts with everyone is cool. And Hanazawa, I can't remember the blonde guy's name, the blonde kid's name. It's something like Hanazawa. I should have looked it up before I started, but here we are. Comment if you know it. I'll probably look it up after this. He's great. I also love that it's literally, we meet him and he fights Mob, and then after the fight with Mob, he just goes, let me just readjust all of my life choices a minute, because I just got the crap beaten out of me by this kid whose whole ideal is do not use psychic powers on people. Psychic powers don't make us special. They're just like a talent, essentially. And it's so good. The relationships are amazing. I love that Mob wins every single fight that he gets into by just being brutally honest with them and catching them off guard, and then if they make him mad enough, just wiping the floor with them with his psychic ability, because he's just insanely powerful. But for the majority of the time, sometimes he uses his psychic ability, but over half the time, he literally just is brutally honest with them and is just straight up an autistic INFJ. That's essentially his character, where he's basically the therapist character. And so he just starts being brutally honest with people, and they start opening up and telling him things, and then he convinces them to change their ways, and it's so good. It's done so well though. It's just fantastic, and I love it so much. All the characters are so good. Again, with pacing of anime shows versus American shows nowadays, it's so good. I had a whole rant about it in my Attack on Titan video, and yeah, the pacing is just wonderful. It's so good, guys. I love it so much. I love the animation style. It's so pretty, and again, the relationships and all of the characters and how their individual personalities, and how people with such such similar powers and abilities are so different as people, and because of who they are and how they choose to use those abilities, it makes them as characters so much different from each other. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. This might turn into a comfort show that I just rewatch whenever I don't know what to watch. It might. Oh man. It just brings me so much joy. Especially whenever he interacts with the Body Improvement Club. He's not an athletic kid. He's this scrawny little middle schooler. He actually looks like a middle schooler as opposed to all the other guys in the club, but they're so accepting of him, and they're so supportive of him and his goal to try and better himself and, you know, improve his physical ability. It's just, gets me in the feels. Oh man. So yeah, just all the misadventures through the first 2 seasons. It's great. We have Claw. Yes, Claw. The basically evil society that's just trying to take over the world through psychic powers. Yeah, it's one of the fun ways you get introduced to a lot of different psychic abilities like Pyro, Kinesis, and basically making an energy whip, and they're controlling plants at some point, there's teleportation, that there's just so many things. And I'm just like, cool, this is awesome. Show me more facets of psychic abilities. Yes, more. It's so good. We also have one that can essentially just like fortify weapons or something, or fortify objects so they can be used as a weapon. And he kind of looks like Six from Generator X. It was my first thought when he came on the screen, was Six, because he was just this dude wearing sunglasses and a suit with a sword. I was like, hey, it's Six! So yeah, that's just, all the characters are so fun. Yeah, Claw is an interesting thing, and then we had, there's just so many things. Season 1 and 2, just overall enjoy things. Not a whole lot to rant about. It was just a good time, and I loved it, and it was great. Season 3 is where we get into the things that I mean, it's partially because I it's partially because I watched it the most recently, but also it just has some of the things I really want to talk about. So, throughout seasons, we have a whole like cult following developing behind Mob, because he's a psychic, and one of a reporter friend in school or whatever is kind of obsessed with him, and she helps start a cult for him, and she's trying to convince Mob to come out and be like, I am your founder, and I'm the one you're not exactly worshiping, but following, essentially. So that's a whole thing throughout the first 2 seasons, and it's just like, okay, that's so strange, but okay. And then at the end of season 2, we have this whole massive fight, which is fantastic, and I love it. The psychic battles are just great. They're phenomenal. Anyway, he has this whole huge fight with the leader of Claw, who is massively powerful and is one of the only people that Mob, going head-to-head with psychic powers, is kind of losing to. But Mob manages to get him to basically overload himself, so he's gonna kind of explode with psychic power, and things happen, and a giant broccoli grows out of the ground, and they start calling it the Divine Tree, and there are religions popping up surrounding this tree, and other religions that are just accepting it as like, oh, it's a sign that our religion is true. So that's a whole fun thing that's happening in season 3. But because they're worshiping the tree, they're basically sending psychic energy into it. And Dimple, who is an evil spirit and has been basically throughout the entirety of the first 2 seasons kind of been trying to manipulate Mob to eventually like get his power so that he can go back to his full strength, because he was basically half exorcised by Mob, and so he's super weak. And anyway, he decides to just chill in the divine tree, in this giant broccoli, and absorb all of this psychic energy that people are pouring into it with their worship. And his goal in life is to become a god, and he kind of manages that. He brainwashes the entirety of the city with his mind control magic infused broccoli. He creates a body that looks like Mob, and it's made of broccoli. It's so cool, and it's awesome, and I love the concept that the entire city gets brainwashed. That it's fantastic. And Mob basically being truly alone and having to fight Dimple. It's so good. But I have to chuckle a little bit every time I remember that all of this is happening because of a giant sprout of broccoli. It makes me giggle every time because it's broccoli. It's straight up just a giant stalk of broccoli. But it's so good, and him fighting Dimple is so great. Him literally just talking to Dimple and going, no, you idiot, you're my friend. You initially started doing this because you wanted power, but in reality you just wanted a friend. And basically just being brutally honest and picking Dimple's entire personality apart until Dimple goes, oh, yeah, that is actually what I wanted. I just wanted a friend. I don't need all this power. It's not actually filling this hole inside of me. And then turning to help, like literally just relinquishing his godhood and erasing everyone's memories of the everything, essentially. And then he's gonna take the tree away. And it turns out the broccoli has gained sentience from all of the psychic power that's been poured into it. And so then Dimple has to fight the tree, the broccoli, that's making like an entire army of Mob bodies or whatever. Psycho helmet, as the cult calls him. Meanwhile, Mob's just down for the count from fighting Dimple because he fought him, realized this isn't doing anything, releases like all of his power, just releases all of the energy so that he can just talk to Dimple. And so he's just out. And Dimple has to fight it alone, and the entire scene where Dimple says goodbye to him and makes him get up and walk despite him being like physically incapable of doing so. And makes him walk out of this broccoli and makes him believe he's just seeing normal Dimple and like, it's okay, I'll be right behind you. And then we get to see reality where he's still in like his god body, and there's just this massive broccoli monster behind him. And you're like, oh no, not Dimple. Oh man, they like straight up kill Dimple, but he's a spirit, so like he's not actually dead. He's just sort of wiped out of existence on like the material plane. But still, they just straight up killed Dimple, and he erases memories of like everyone. And so Mob wakes up after just crashing from this, and the only thing he remembers is Dimple is gone, I think. Just about. He doesn't remember all the how and why, but he remembers Dimple is gone. Just like, so sad. It's so sad. It was so good. And then we had weird 2 in-between episodes where they meet aliens, and then one of the friend group gets kidnapped by aliens, and not good things happen, and then he finds his way home. It was strange and unnecessary and very wrong. But yeah, then that happens, and then we get the final arc. Which is just fantastic. So Mob's love interest is moving away. He goes, crap, this is my only chance to ask her out. And so he's, getting ready, makes a plan, they're gonna meet. He's on his way there. This kid crosses the street playing video games, and this car does not see him. Mob jumps in the way, shoves this kid out of the way, just gets hit by this van, suffers head trauma, and loses control of his powers completely. It's so good. So he still has this driving force of, I'm going to see, oh crap, I forget the love interest's name. I'm going to see this girl. I'm going to confess my love to this girl. But it is exclusively his power. He's just in this, it's so good. He's walking and the city is basically blowing up around him. It's so good. He is beating the crap out of literally everyone that comes to stop him, which is basically everyone he's come into contact with, and talk them out of their villainy, essentially. So we have some of the former members of Claw. We have Hanazawa. We have Sarazawa and Ryan at the end. We have Ritsu shows up for a bit. It's literally everyone who cares about him. The Body Improvement Club shows up. Everyone who cares about him shows up to try and stop him and, talk him out of it. And none of them actually know what's happening because they didn't see him get hit by this truck. So what on earth happened? How did he lose control of his powers? He's been controlling them this whole time. And it's so good. It's so awesome. And he's just wrecking everyone. And it gets to the point where we have this moment internally inside of Mob where he gets this realization, it's I haven't really been controlling my powers. I have been bottling everything up so that I can't react like this and explode again like I did when we were little where I hurt Ritsu. I can't do that. And so he essentially has been suppressing his power and suppressing all of his emotions as well, so that he doesn't freak out and have another moment where he explodes, which bottling up emotions is not a good way to handle emotions. I note this from experience. But anyway, so basically having this culmination of just no, you suppressed me, and you refused to, and you, instead of finding a balance between your power and yourself, you pushed your power down and essentially pushed your true self down with all your emotions. And so it was just Mob left. And having this confrontation with himself to the point where his powers go, no, I'm taking over you, and once you disappear and once you wake up, it'll just be me left. And cool visual things happening where Mob's just basically peeling apart and whatever, the skin or whatever peels, the top appearance wise peels off and then goes on to this black silhouette version of him that is his power and basically covers him. So it's Mob, but he's paler and he's not as alive looking. And so there's all these cool visuals happening, and there's this internal struggle going on with Mob, and while everyone else is also trying to fight and get him back. And then we have this big climactic moment where Reagan finally reaches him, and he grabs him and goes, listen to me. I don't have psychic powers. whole time he has been lying to Mob and telling him, I'm like you, and being like his master and his boss, like, I am like you, I can help you. And he's been lying to him this whole time, since the day they met. And him having this moment was like, Mob, listen to me, I'm not actually like you. I don't actually have spiritual powers. I don't actually understand anything about what you are going through. But I am here. And everything I told you about them not making you special or giving you like authority over anybody, and what I told you about not using them against people, like, that's still true. I'm still here for you. I still want to help you. And now, because I care so much about you, I am telling you the truth. And Mob and Ragaz's relationship is so flippin' good. I can't. It's fantastic. And that final moment of honesty where he's like, it's okay, I'm here. I lied, but I'm here. I'm coming clean, and I'm not going anywhere. And literally, we have Dimple like fight his way back to existence on the material plane to help save Reagan so that he can actually get to Mob. Ugh. It's so good. And then we have the end where Mob finally, gets control of himself again, and then goes and sees his love interest and gets rejected. Comes out and he's just like, she rejected me, and like normal, not showing any emotion, and then he just like breaks down. And he's crying, and Reagan just like takes him by the shoulder and goes like, let's go, it's not that bad. I've been rejected by girls before. It's not over. Oh, I just like talking to him and trying to comfort him as they walk through the wreckage of the city that Mob has left in his wake. It's so good. And then we literally end it with a scene where they throw Reagan a surprise birthday party. And we end it with Reagan face plants in his cake because he's a clumsy oaf, and the psychic people there, little pranksters. So he face plants in his cake, and we basically end the entire series, and we see Mob laughing for like the first time in the entire series. My heart, it's so good. It's just such a gorgeous way to end it, with him finally finding that balance between the psychic powers and that side of him and all of his emotions and himself, and finding that balance and basically becoming his true self, essentially the fullness and his whole self, and by accepting all of those parts of him, the good, the bad, and the complicated. And it's just, oh my gosh, because it's something we struggle with as humans, is accepting all sides of us, including those faults and including those complicated things. Like, I don't want to get into a trans rant again, but I really want to. On the other hand, yeah, I really want to. So, it's so good. Like, yeah, the message is just so good. And it's just so relatable for so many people, because that is something they struggle with so desperately, especially in this day and age, where we can't seem to accept ourselves. We're spreading the tolerance and the acceptance message. It's like, okay, but think you're being hypocrites. Like, you're spending, it's like, oh, accept this and tolerate that and whatever else. I'm like, okay, but you're asking us to accept this, but are you really accepting yourself? Because if you were fully accepting who you are, and you were accepting this, and you're accepting your faults, and you're trying to actually understand yourself and these complicated things, like, would you actually be like this way? Is this something that's truly a part of you, or is this something that you're like deciding, or something that you're letting yourself feed into because you want to be different, or you want to be a part of this special thing? I feel like if we're truly accepting like who we are and every part of ourselves, I don't think it's going to lead there, because we're created in God's image, and we're created in this certain way where we were put together. He put us together in our mother's womb and made us perfectly the way, like, not perfectly, but like exactly the way we were meant to be. And so if we're truly accepting that, and we're fully embracing who God made us to be, that's not going to lead anywhere except towards Him. So all of these people, they're saying, no, accept who I am, accept who I am. They're asking, that's another thing. It's like, if they need the acceptance of everybody and the tolerance of everybody else around them, that is a sign of like true insecurity. They're not actually comfortable and accepting of themselves, and they require the validation of everyone around them in order for them to feel like, oh, this is actually something that I am. If other people are accepting this about me, that means it's true, and then I can believe this about myself. Like, they're looking for acceptance and validation from other people in order to essentially know who they are. And so they basically throw things out there. It's like, tolerate this, accept this, this is who I am. And they state it as a fact, but I don't think they actually believe it, because they're not actually accepting themselves. They're just looking for something special that they can be a part of. Yeah. I knew this would... Okay, I actually didn't know this was going to turn into a rant about that stuff. Yeah, I should stop before I ramble too far on about that. Long story short, Mob Psycho 100 is so good, and it's so wholesome, but it's also so dark, and I love it so much. It is a comfort show now, and all of the characters are fantastic, and the relationships are amazing, and the Body Improvement Club is literally the most wholesome thing I have ever seen. It's fantastic. Okay, I think that's all I got. Also the way Reagan literally just like walks into a claw base in season 1 and just is so confident and so socially comfortable that they think he's just their boss, and so he gets an entire following of these psychic soldiers that are leading him to like directly to Mob and the other captives and like the leaders of this particular base. And when they get confronted by the leader of this base and go, wait, you're not the boss, they still do what he says when he tells them to, like, okay, get out of here, this isn't your fight, go be good people, and they just listen to him. It is the greatest thing ever. It's so great. Okay, I think that was the last thing. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Mob Psycho. It was fantastic. I love it so much. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to discuss more with you. I'm sure there are things, little details or whatever else that I forgot to mention. I'd love to rant with you all in the comments. It's so much fun, and I enjoy it so much, and I love finding other people that enjoy these same things and can get as, excited as I am about these things. So yeah, that's what I got. Share your thoughts in the comments, share any requests, recommendations, whatever else. I post videos on this channel every Wednesday and Saturday, and I post videos on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. I'll see you all next time.